Okay, in this problem you have Emily who's buying for turquoise stones, and she wants to buy small ones and large ones. Well, at least that's what they have for sale. Now, since in the order in which they are presented, small stones then large stones, I'm going to let the small stones be X, I'm going to let the large stones be Y, and what I know is that she cannot spend more than $30, so it has to be less than or equal to $30. So that means if it's $4 for a small stone, and if you add $6 for every large stone, it should be less than or equal to 30. Now, we also know that when she buys the small stones, and if she buys enough large stones, she wants to buy them for at least for her friends. That means she can buy them for more as long as she has enough. So at least greater than or equal to 4 of her friends. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take each equation and we're going to solve for y. So the first one, 4x plus 6y is less than or equal to 30. We're going to subtract 4x from both sides. I'm going to have 6y is less than or equal to negative 4x plus 30. Then when I divide by 6 on everything, I end up getting y is less than or equal to negative 2/3 x plus 5. So I'm going to save that information so I can plot it later. Now recall we have x plus y is greater than or equal to 4. Now I'm going to solve for y by subtracting x. Then what I end up with is y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 4. Now I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to take this equation, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot those graphs above. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot those graphs. So at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to plot a y-intercept. So about right there. And then I'm going to go down 2 to the right 3. So down 2, 1, 2, 3 to the right 3. And I'm going to keep going. Alright, so now I can plot that graph. Okay, now we're going to graph the other one. On this one, you have a y-intercept of 4. So you go up to 4. Put a dot. And then you have a negative 1. So notice that this one just keeps decreasing by negative 1 each time. And I'm going to go ahead and connect those. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try to concentrate on shading. So if you look at this first one right here, what I want to do is this says y is less than. So that means on this one, I'm going to shade below. That's this part right here. Okay? Now on this other one, what this means is y is greater than. So I'm going to shade above. And you notice that this is the overlapping area, is this middle part right here. So any point in that is a solution. So now, what I want you to realize is that this bottom one, since the x values were the small stones, you need to also label the axes. So this was the small stones, and then this was your large stones. So now I'm going to find in this area some place in here that could be any number in there that will be a solution. So I'm going to pick a point. So this first one I'm going to pick is 4, 1. Let me make a bigger one. Okay. So I'm going to make 4, 1 right there. And I'm also going to choose 3, 3, which will be right there. And those two should satisfy my equation. Now I want you to notice, once I figured out what my, picked out 2 solutions, I went ahead and put that right here. So I can have 4 small, 1 large, or 3 small, 3 large, and both of those would satisfy both inequalities since they are in this shaded region right here. Now, sometimes working through a problem can be quite daunting whenever you have to graph or solve the equation for y, and then you have to find out the y-intercept. But sometimes there are easy ways around it. Like for instance, this problem. Suppose you can spend no more than 15 hours a week at your 2 jobs. Well, and mowing lawns pays $3 an hour, and babysitting pays $5 an hour. Well, in this case, we have lawn mowing and we have babysitting. Those are our two values. So I'm going to let lawns be X, and I'm going to let babysitting be Y. Now, I know that if I add lawn care plus babysitting, I cannot work more than 15 hours. So there's my first equation. I then know that if I earn $3 an hour mowing lawns and $5 an hour babysitting, I need to make more than $60 because it says I need to earn at least $60 a week. All right, so there's 60. So now, with that being said, these are the two equations. Now let me move those off to the side, and what you're going to see is this. I'm going to take both equations. So x plus y is less than or equal to 15. Remember, we can use our intercepts. So if I plug in 0 for x, and if I plug in 0 for y, well, when you use the cover-up method, when you plug in 0 for x, you get 0 plus y is less than or equal to 15. Therefore, your y value will be 15. The same thing applies when you plug in 0 for y. So x will also be 15. So right there, you have your intercepts. All right? I'm going to do the same thing for the other equation. Now, for this equation, I'm going to do the same thing. If I plug in 0 for x, I get 5y equals 60. Well, I know that 5 times 12 equals 60. Therefore, y is equal to 12. So that's my first one. When x is 0, y is 12. If I do the same thing for the other one, if I plug in 0 for y, I get 3x plus 5 times 0 equals 60. So that's gone. So 3 times 20 is equal to 60. Therefore, x is equal to 20. Therefore, my other my x-intercept is 20, 0. Now, I'm going to plot all 4 of these points. Now, like I said, let's go ahead and plot all 4 of these points. I'm going to plot these 2 points, and then I'm going to plot these 2 points. Now, remember, your x and y axis have to be labeled, and they have to fit. So I'm going to make sure, I'm going to count by 2s, so that way I know everything fits in here. Now, before I get started, notice I've put the lawns on the x-axis, and I put babysitting up here for the y-axis. Now, I'm going to count by 2s, and in doing so, I want you to notice. So if this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, this means right here is 10. All right, so I've counted by 2s, and then 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So this one is 20. Vertically, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So here's 10. And then 2, 4, 6, 8, 20. So here is 20 right there. Okay? Now I'm going to plot the points. Now, I want you to notice that I also had to make an adjustment. Since 15 is not an even number, I had to plot these in the middle. All right? So this is my baby blue line right here. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot this one in yellow. So here are the points that I'm going to plot and the line. Now, notice on this one, the 2 lines happen to cross. So, again, the one on the right is in yellow. All right, so this one's in yellow, and this one, of course, is in blue. Now, I'm going to go ahead and shade it. Now, if you remember, look at the equations. I'm going to test the point 0, 0. Okay? So when I have x plus y is less than or equal to 15, when I plug in 0 for x and y, I get 0 is less than or equal to 15. And that is true. Therefore, I have to shade below. All right, I want you to notice that I was able to shade this in blue. So therefore, if you look on the graph, that's the shaded region below the graph. That includes 0, 0. Now, I'm going to do the other one in yellow. Okay? So in this one, I need to use, let me erase some of these things. All right, now, so I've plugged in 0 for x and 0 for y. Notice you end up getting 0 is greater than or equal to 60. Well, we know that 0 is not greater than 60. So, therefore, this is not true. Therefore, I have to shade above. Now, on this one, notice that the blue shaded below, the yellow shaded above. But I have to look at the overlapping area. So that little small area happens to be this little section right here. Okay? Now that's going to be a very small window but I think I can get a couple of points. All right. Now, if you notice any point on those lines, since they are solid, so I'm going to pick the point right here of 0, 14, and I'm going to pick the point of 2, 10. And those 2 points should satisfy. That means I should have 2 hours of lawn work. So 2 hours of lawn work and 10 hours of babysitting. And then I can also do 0 hours of lawn work and 14 hours of babysitting in order to accomplish both goals, working no more than 15 hours a week and earning more than $60. Now, I know this problem took a little longer. Most times they can be this complicated, but you're just going to have to fight through it. And remember your rules. Always use, you can either solve for y, or you can also use your x and y intercepts to graph.